so good to see everybody, man. The final word is back.
Man, it's been 40 days and 40 nights, man.
Oh, man. And this time, big, Michael Gehlken is in the building.
Right.
Oh, man.
This is how you come back. If you're gonna come back from a hiatus, and you're gonna grind, you come back with the best. Feel me? So that's how you come back. So I appreciate and a big salute to my dog Boss Cowboys.
Absolutely. Yeah, man. So, because we've been having a little bit of bad luck sometimes to where it's been technical difficulty, but Mike popped right in,
Right on in.
Sometimes we had technical difficulty.
Ain't no Murphy's Law tonight.
No Murphy's Law. It's time.
It was
That's
meant
third
to be
cousin
right
there,
way.
man.
You feel me? You don't come in after 3 weeks and having some glitches. Thank you, Lord.
And Michael, I'm gonna tell you right now, we already got some film. Your film work from Twitter. We gonna talk about it. We gonna kick it off with you.
Okay.
All right, yeah. So we already got you ready to go. So, all right, we gonna start it off in just a minute. Man, I miss y'all, man. I ain't gonna even lie. I'm not too ashamed to say I miss my brothers, man.
I'm gonna say right now, boss, you called it. I thought it was perfect how you did it. You know what I mean? Taking that little break.
Yeah.
We all got to miss each other, do our own things, and come back like Voltron.
Yeah. I'm just being honest, man. I miss you boys. I miss, doing the final word. I was like, man, what is life is like if we not doing the final word? I was like, man, but anyway, yeah, we needed that break. All of us, we needed to just kind of take a step back.
What break?
Because we really did take a break.
Yeah, you ain't taking no break. Oh, I ain't taking no break.
Yeah, and I'm gonna be honest. I would even add, definitely no days off. I agree. I would definitely say, listen, because Michael Gehlken and I was in that heat. Yeah,
I saw.
Yeah, we was in that heat.
I saw.
So anyway, here we go. Y'all already know. Somebody said third Cowboy show today. Let's go. Oh yeah, man, we in here. All right. I'm excited, man. The final word is back, and we not going nowhere. We go be non-stop all the way into the draft.
Wait a minute.
Into the 2023 draft.
Through the Super Bowl.
Through the
where
Super
that Koolaid at?
Say
Where
it.
that Koolaid at?
What? I got it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I gotta agree.
Yoga fire. Yoga
Flame.
Yoga flame, man. Count it up. All right, man. Y'all throw those flames in the chats, man. Y'all throw them
And
chains,
be
man.
sure to check out Michael Gehlken on Twitter.
Oh, yeah, we got him. Yeah, Michael
Dallas
Gehlken.
Morning News.
He's in the building. Mr. Michael Gehlken himself. So,
VIP.
Absolutely. Let's get it. I see the flames. I love it. I see y'all throwing the flames in the house. Let's go.
Yeah.
See it. Ow! Man, where my button at? I got a button that's just for me. Huh. All right. All right, so here we go, man. It's been a little while. There it is. All right, so.
Yeah.
All right, so we got Mr. Gehlken in the house as promised. And how you doing?
I'm doing well. How you guys doing? Thanks for having me.
Man, good to see
man.
you. So, all right, we're going to turn the music on, and let's go get right to it. So, Michael Gehlken, I want to kind of kick it off because you going to your Twitter page. If y'all not following this Twitter, y'all make sure y'all follow Gehlken at NFL. Because one of the things that you brought out, we going to start with the kind of controversial topic, Mr. Gehlken. We're going to talk about this Micah Parsons rating on Madden and how, in your opinion, they got it a little bit wrong. Can you expound on that?
Well, I guess greatness, in order to earn that label, you have to demonstrate that level of production over time. And that's the only argument that one can make as to why Micah Parsons' rating is so low. I believe by the time that the full ratings for this game is out, that he'll probably be the highest rated second-year player. And so it's kind of on a curve when you've only played one season. So 88 overall, from that sense, is a very high. But I think if you actually just look at what he did last season, not just his production, which speaks for itself, but the manner in which he did it, there weren't a lot of cheap sacks on the table. Yes, Dan Quinn did a heck of a job, designing some, one-on-one opportunities with him. But I mean, Micah Parsons is different. He's special. He's generational. Mistake that I think you're going to hear, you probably heard a little bit this draft season, is this guy could be the next Micah Parsons. This guy could be like Micah Parsons. We've gone decades of NFL football without having a single Micah Parsons. And
right.
I think people should appreciate how different this guy is, his ability to be who he is as an inside linebacker, then to flex down into a 3-point stance and present the challenges that he does as an edge rusher. He's special. So 88, that's what they'll put on him. It's just a video game. People can buy the video game if they want. They could go to edit ratings. They can jack his speed up to 95. They can bring his overall to whatever they want it to be. And so Micah Parsons, he didn't say anything about it on social media in terms of, I think he did call it disrespectful, but he's still playing the game. I don't think I'm not going to get fired up about it beyond the fact to point out that, he's no 88 by the typical construct.
Big.
Oh, okay. Well, I was just kind of seeing what y'all was going to do, but I'm going to just come out with my questions. I got questions.
Go.
So, I appreciate you jumping on here, number one, but I want to talk about two things. To me, it speaks toward depth, and I want to see, kind of get your thoughts and, pick your brain on this. The linebacker position and the receiver position. Obviously, with the Amari Cooper thing being gone out the lineup. But when I look at the linebacker position and the receiver position, if, God forbid, you have any injury that goes on with a CD Lamb, I wonder about, is there the true depth there? First, at the receiver position, obviously you have CD Lamb, Michael Gallup. You have your draft pick in Jalen Tolbert. But I want to get your thoughts on a couple players. Is it James Washington? Is he a lock this year, in your opinion? And also, we've been hearing a lot about T.J. Vasher. We've heard about Simi Fehoko. Does T.J. Vasher really have a real chance to be on this roster? And if he does make this roster, can we actually see him on a game day, 55-day roster on that aspect?
I think those two positions that you highlighted to me are the 100%. I'm right there with you, where there are questions at both, and focusing now at linebacker, or probably at wide receiver. James Washington, is he a lock for the roster? I would say he's pretty close to one. We haven't really seen him on the field because of a foot injury in the spring. Didn't see him in OTAs, didn't see him at minicamp. So to say that I have a great feel from him based on what I've seen in person, I don't. But from having seen him on tape and after the Cowboys signed him, take a look at what his skill set is, and he's a lot like Michael Gallup in terms of someone who just stretches the field and can win those 50-50 balls. Really pushes things with that vertical element of his game. And so if you're the Cowboys and you're looking at the potential or likelihood, we'll see exactly how he's progressing, although I'm heard it's encouraging. If Gallup's not ready week one, as we've seen the Cowboys kind of be bracing themselves once, then it makes a whole lot of sense to have James Washington on your roster for that. So I would say it's more likely than not that he's part of things. Now, as for T.J. Vasher and some of these other names, Vasher missed all of last season. He had an injury, I believe it was his knee, back from college, and so it was kind of a redshirt year. So he's basically like an undrafted rookie, ostensibly. And frankly, I missed. So I was on my honeymoon, and I usually am not one to miss practice, but I'm also. I'm not. tomorrow I'm gonna wake up, I'm gonna be 75 years old, and I'd be kicking myself if I didn't go on my honeymoon so I could watch those two OTA practices.
Right.
And so
we forgive you.
First OTA practice. Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. So the first OTA practice, and then the mini camp practice that I saw, he wasn't someone who had a ton of opportunities in terms of like a lot of balls thrown at him or anything. Simi Fehoko was a bit more active when I came back from my break, and that's during that mini camp practice. And so I think let's just wait and see. It sounds like he did some things, but even if I was there, I would still tell you, it's great to stand out during OTAs. It's even better to stand out in training camp when there are pads on, or in the preseason when the competition is especially live, or when there's joint practices going on. The Cowboys have 3 of them,
right.
2 against the Chargers and first against the Broncos. So there's a lot of opportunity left for a guy like TJ Basher and others, Brandon Smith, Drummond. I mean, you kind of go down the list of these guys who are young, be it a young emerging player or perhaps an external acquisition to come, be it, a veteran who's available now or someone who might be available via trade as roster cutdowns loom, or as, the 53-man roster cutdown happens and all these players, hundreds of players around the league fall into waivers. The Cowboys, I'll leave Stephen Jones to tell you that roster building is a 365-day thing,
right?
But it's true as relates to the wide receiver position, where they don't need to be week 1 ready right now. But player development, competition, all of that, wide receiver as well as linebacker, it's going to be really interesting to watch.
Yeah,
now I just want to finish.
Yeah, go ahead.
My bad, Lord.
I
just want to finish off the linebacker.
Wide receiver. Go ahead.
I was just going to finish off the linebacker, and you go ahead and keep it. But just off the linebacker position, what I wanted to ask was, I know they filled a spot with Malik Jefferson. I was excited about that from the University of Texas. I'm a Texas guy, so I was excited to see about that. But we still don't know about Jabril Cox. You still LVE had 17 games last year, but you still worry about that injury bug with him, and we know Gifford is more like a backup now. Is there any real talk? We hear about it in the air, and there might be some talks, but is Anthony Barr, I've been speaking about him since December. I think he'd be a great addition on the veteran side. Is there any real bite to this? Is something like that can really happen? Because even though you added a Malik Jefferson, I believe if you add him, that really solidifies how you feel of our as depth at your linebacker position.
Yeah, the two sides have spoken, but finances are obviously an important part of that equation, and thus far they haven't been able to close that gap. So, Anthony Barr right now is a free agent, and clearly he doesn't feel especially pressed to make any sort of decision immediately. As camp gets closer, or as camps get underway, as injuries happen, those are all variables that could accelerate his decision, and or not just his decision, but perhaps those offers that didn't quite intrigue him suddenly become more intriguing with the increase in that offer. So he's comfortable just waiting, and so we're gonna have to wait with him. But the fact that the Cowboys have spoken to him at length in terms of negotiations, I think is indicative of they look at their linebacker position and see some room for upgrade. I think the one thing to remember when you look at the Cowboys linebacker room, and maybe how perhaps underwhelming the depth could be in some respects, and depends on what kind of eye you could be optimistic if you wanted to be, but ultimately maybe it could be stronger. The fact is that Dan Quinn relies on his safeties a lot, Jaron Kearse namely, to be in the box. And he asks a lot of that. And you look at the way that the Cowboys, do their nickel and dime sub packages. They're entirely comfortable with, Micah Parsons is one nickel linebacker, having Jaron there right next to him. We saw that a lot last year. So I think the importance of Kearse, it really helps mitigate any concerns you might have, or at least a little bit at the linebacker position because of his versatility.
Appreciate you.
No doubt. That was some good stuff right there, Big Game James. Good questions for Gehlken. Are there any news about Anthony Barr's knees or health concerns? Because I'm seeing a lot of people in the chat talking about that. And if so, I think the Cowboys can go the route like they did with was it Gerald McCoy? They had like conditions within the contract language to alleviate that. Have you heard of anything with Anthony Barr's health?
I have not, although it would be customary for a team to get medical information remotely, but also having a guy in for a physical before any contract was finalized. And so I think if the numbers were right, you would probably have Anthony Barr come in for a physical, and then once that physical, whichever direction that went, then that would be the final button to check or box to check for that contract becoming final. So I don't know if I couldn't speak specifically to the medical situation, but given how the Cowboys are, it's been more than a month of them. Right. It's been more than a month since they were talking contract with him. They must have felt pretty good about where he is physically more than a month ago to kind of go into talks as deeply as they did. But it's fair to watch, no doubt, over the course of this process until he signs with a team.
Most certainly. I heard you on 105.3 The Fan talking to Broadus about Kellen Moore's experience. It's not the aspect that he's not a good offensive coordinator, but you was hitting the angle of experience. Can you, I guess, echo that over here? Because a lot of people look at Kellen Moore solely as a guy that can't coach. Can you enlighten the people over here about Kellen Moore as the offensive coordinator?
Yeah, and as I talk, if anyone wants to look up how old he is, I'm drawing a blank and I should know it offhand, but just to make the point of just
he's
how
33.
young of a guy he is. 33 years old. So we're talking about a 33-year-old offensive coordinator. He's probably still one of the youngest offensive coordinators, or one of, if not the youngest offensive coordinator in the NFL, despite being out a few seasons on the job. So just naturally, we, as I said with Broadus, when you're a young player, we talk about CeeDee Lamb and his development and, the room that he has to grow. We could talk about Trayvon Diggs and the room that he has to grow. These are, when you're young at your profession, it's like the book Outliers, where you need to get your 10,000 hours on task before you can be an expert.
Yeah.
Kellen Moore, extremely cerebral as a quarterback. He's been around football certainly for those 10,000 hours. But when you're talking about scheming up, designing, all those things that go into being a play caller and play designer and all that, it takes time. It takes hours on task. I covered with the Chargers. On Mike McCoy's staff, he had Frank Reich, and Frank got fired, and Frank ended up being a Super Bowl winning coordinator, became an NFL head coach, and it just some guys just kind of take time, which isn't to say that Kellen Moore has been some sort of total letdown or anything like that. I mean, I think there's been a lot of success under Kellen Moore's watch, a lot of creativity, a lot of unscouted looks in terms of presentation that he gives defenses that makes him a challenge each and every week. I don't think defenses have a whole lot of time preparing for a Kellen Moore offense, but in terms of the particulars, and I think it's not just Kellen Moore, it's the entire staff, starting with Mike McCarthy on the way down. But, the details of the passing game in terms of execution were not where they needed to be last year, period. And I think if anyone had any questions about it, they saw it in January against the 49ers, against a really suspect secondary. They cannot take advantage of it. And it's not just one person. It's not just Kellen Moore. Yes, he could have done things differently, but it's not just him. It's not just Dak Prescott. Yes, he could have done things differently with his footwork, his decision-making, but it's not just him. It's what the offseason is about. You have that experience, you process it, you learn from it, and then you have months, and fortunately for the Cowboys, months of a healthy Dak Prescott to really scrutinize, learn from it, and then really build a better base because of it for the upcoming year. And that's kind of where the Cowboys are, and they hope to build off of that entering training camp.
So with that being said, is that a lose-lose factor for Mike McCarthy to sit back and watch the young phenom Kellen Moore go through the growing pains and saying, I can't put the fire out for you. You got to figure out yourself. Because I think he said that in the interview. If he installed the plays, he got to call the plays. And I'm just going to sit back with the clipboard and not intervene and watch him burn down the kitchen, because that's what That's what I see. That's what I see out of this whole situation. He's not in a win-win deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I think it's an interesting point. It's an interesting conversation because Mike McCarthy has a style about him, and I think it's drawn criticism in the past. Drew some criticism in Green Bay, where he really delegates. You know, I covered John Gruden with the Raiders before things fell apart, and you know, talk about hands-on. I mean, and granted, he was, even though he wasn't the offensive coordinator in title, he was a play caller, and he was really in the trenches with the quarterback. And again, it's to McCarthy's point, if you call it, you know, you install it, and so it's not an apples to apples comparison. But nonetheless, you know, I've seen head coaches be extremely hands-on in the offense, and so McCarthy chooses not to do that. You know, he kind of just steps back and doesn't want to have too many cooks in the kitchen, which I think, you know, it requires some discipline, because you don't want that. You don't want to muddle the message, and you want to have it kind of come through Kellen Moore. But there's probably a balance to that where, you know, you can probably help in some areas a little more actively with the preparation. And I think it really is Kellen Moore's show. Now, does Mike McCarthy have input? Yes, I'm not saying he doesn't, but to the level at which he provides that input, I think is different than some other places in the league.
No doubt, that's a good response.
All right, Mr. Gehlken. All right. Now, I got to go to a little bit of controversy. Just a little bit. Just a little bit.
Let's do it.
Because, see,
I'm ready for that.
I told you can't. Listen, I told y'all he came by hot on his Twitter. So he said Cowboys tight end Dalton Schultz does not get enough credit for his blocking. Room to improve, no doubt. So I see you measuring the Koolaid. But there's plenty of positive on tape, particularly for someone with 141 catches, and you lay out the stats over the last 2 years. Blocking not the reason he's still on a franchise tag today. So I'm going to go ahead and let your clip roll as you make your case for Dalton Schultz and his blocking.
So each time I've reported about Dalton Schultz this offseason as it relates to the franchise tag and negotiations with the Cowboys and all that, I can't help but notice this building narrative of, well, he's a horrible blocker. Guy can't block. The only place he blocks is on Twitter, which sounds like he really blocks a lot of people on Twitter, which I think he must really enjoy. I haven't asked him about that
He
yet.
does block a lot on
Twitter. I can't block. I'll show you I can block. I'm blocking you on Twitter. I'm pretty sure that's what his line of thinking is. He's having fun with that. But I mean, you look back at week one, you know, there was a tight end out in space, and if this block gets made, the Cowboys are 1-0, and they beat the defending Super Bowl champions in Tampa at Raymond James Stadium, the place where they won the Super Bowl just months earlier. And that tight end couldn't make a block in space against a safety that just got elevated from the practice squad a day or two earlier for that game. That tight end was not Dalton Schultz. That was Blake Jarwin. And if you really wanted to take a look at what a tight end that can't block or really struggles to block, trying to be polite, watch Blake Jarwin's tape, and then watch Schultz and tell me that the two are the same. I'm not saying that Dalton Schultz is George Kittle. I'm not saying that, he's this, lights out, blocker, but he's competitive and he gets a lot done, and he's high effort, and you see him sealing, critical plays. There's a play against Carolina, the Cowboys' longest run of the season. Schultz helped seal the lane. You can find the examples, and you have to at least, don't be unreasonable about this guy's blocking. I mean, yes, he can get better. I mean, against Chandler Jones in Week 17, Chandler Jones has like 5 or 6 inches in terms of arm length on him. Part of the reason I think people are really underwhelmed with Dalton Schultz, this whole situation, is that he's not someone who's going to wow you with his physical traits. He's not long levered at all. His speed, any of his physical measurables that are the ones that we tout. He's not anyone that you would say, oh, this is a guy who deserves to be franchise tagged. But he has, over the past 2 seasons, earned a contract. And he's not asking to be paid like George Kittle. He's not asking to be paid like Travis Kelce. He's asking to get paid a little bit above David Njoku of the Cleveland Browns, and you look at Njoku's stats and blocking, and convince me that Schultz has not earned a contract better than that. And I think the Cowboys will say, well, Njoku shouldn't have been paid that, and the Browns made a mistake, and there's the issue in contract negotiations. If you want to say that's the floor, well, we think that floor was mistakenly installed, and so we don't want to acknowledge that floor. It creates some complication with discussions. But again, to kind of get back to the point, Dalton Schultz, is he the greatest blocking tight end in the NFL? No, and he wouldn't tell you that. But if you're going to really take a look at tight ends, because tight ends are not offensive linemen, what a tight end is going to give you at that weight while also giving you that receiving production, I think he's better than people are giving him credit for. And so I understood, believe me, carving out 4 hours literally on my birthday to make a Dalton Schultz blocking highlight tape is not my idea of like, oh, this is going to go over really well. Like I understood what I was getting into. But to me, my job is to obviously do research and understand what the facts are. And the fact is that Schultz is a better blocker than people are willing to give him credit for. Again, just as I said there, room to improve, absolutely. He's working on increasing his play strength, all that. I think in recognition of that, but he's not what people are making him out to be. So let's have a little nuance to the conversation as it relates to Dalton Schultz's blocking. And I think a little nuance in general as it relates to different arguments in our society is always a good thing, where it doesn't have to be so black and white.
Oh, Gehlken, let me ask you this. Let me ask you this.
Wait.
Go ahead. Oh, yeah, give him that. Yeah.
Wait, because I got to jump in real quick, Law, because I know you get – because I also promised him it's going to be short. I don't want to go too long on him. All right, check this. I can already feel the crowd doing this. But this is the deal. Everybody, he right, because he did the work on film, right? So
with the film,
I'm gonna do my homework even more on Dalton Schultz, because we all know, Law Big, we all know that narratives are sometimes created that are not true according to film. So at least he did the film work. So what you say, Law? Don't shake him with the butter knife, because he's done the work.
Don't shake him with that butter knife.
Don't just say he's a Koolaid drinker to Dalton Schultz, because he's done the work. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he showed it and put it on his Twitter. So when they do that, all we got to do is then do our homework at the same time. So I respect the work, and I respect you going on the edge of what's different and what's not popular. What was you going to say, Law, before we let him go?
The open market, that's what I wanted the Cowboys to see with Dalton Schultz. And in your opinion, after reviewing his film, do you think a team would pay him north of Dallas Goedert on the open market? Good and question. The Cowboys could have set back and then match it from there? Because you said that he's not really asking for a lot. Well, at this point, it got to be north of Dallas Goedert, because he played and performed better than him these last 2 seasons collectively. And I kind of look at it like, of course, David Njoku's money was just silly, but it got to be north of that. And only the 2 other players that had a better salary than that was Mark Andrews as well as Travis Kelce. So I have to look at it that he was looking to reset the market. Yes or no?
Well, so Dalton Schultz was not expecting to get paid north of Dallas Goedert. He wasn't.
Oh, wow.
I think between him and Njoku would have been a range that would have gotten the deal done. Had the Cowboys not franchise tagged Dalton Schultz, right now he's going to be playing under a $10.93 million franchise tag.
Right.
Had they not tagged him and he became an unrestricted free agent in March, he gets easily north of $12 million. Easily. Floor. Mm-hmm. Probably very well could have been 13 plus. And so there's no doubt that he's cheaper than market value, which is part of the reason, if you're the Cowboys, it made sense to keep him under the franchise tag. They didn't feel especially incentivized. Look at all the money they're tied up at quarterback, at running back, on offensive line. You got CeeDee Lamb not too far away in the horizon. You got Trayvon Diggs deal not too far on the horizon, and Micah Parsons deserves every penny or dollar Benjamin that is coming his way. And so when you're talking about a tight end and you can have for another year and kind of let the same play out, I think it made a whole lot of business sense for the Cowboys not to do the sort of deal that the market right now commands. I think when you look at the other tight end deals, you have to keep in mind that the salary cap is increasing. And so, if one guy gets, $15 or $14 million in 2021, well, that amount means a little bit different in 2022. Or likewise, the New England Patriots tight ends, Jonnu Smith and Hunter Henry, they're at $12.5 million per year. Those deals were back in March of 2021. And so each of these deals, they raise the bar for the next guy. And we also have to kind of weigh in the salary cap with who the player is. And often the numbers look a little bit wonky because, this player is getting paid this much when he's clearly not at the level of this guy, but it's all based on the percentage of a salary cap that's increasing.
No doubt.
Big, did you have one more thing, my brother?
Yeah, I just want to ask one last question for you, Michael. It's on the defensive side again. I'm a defensive guy. Sorry, that's what I like to talk about.
Let's do it.
But it's going to really go with the right end position and Sam Williams. Obviously, you see that they got Dante Fowler in, and then Dorrance Armstrong Jr. was re-signed to his deal, and then Sam Williams was drafted. Two questions. What's the reasonable plan for Sam Williams this season? And, do you think that Dante Fowler is going to have a role because he played a little bit of linebacker last year at Atlanta? What's kind of, if he's on this roster, what's kind of the plan for Dante Fowler? Are they going to stand him up, kind of throw him with Dorrance Armstrong attacking the line of scrimmage? Kind of could you give some insight on that if you do?
Yeah, and I think it's going to be interesting to see that position come together in the post-Ray world in which we live. The Dante Fowler signing, we'll see what he can bring the Cowboys, but just from a pure financial standpoint, he'll probably give you, according to the Pro Football Focus measure of pressures, he'll probably give you 40 plus pressures this season if he's healthy. And at the value of what or at the price tag of what the Cowboys are paying him, it's a pretty cheap 40 pressure player. Pair him with Dorrance Armstrong, who has more of that prototypical length that Dan Quinn covets. I think that's a pretty solid start for that position. Sam Williams Jr. is blindingly fast. I mean, his speed is his greatest asset. You also have to acknowledge that he's still fairly raw. Talk about those 10,000 hours. He's well short of that. He's pretty new to football. And so the Cowboys are really excited about that. They'd rather have a player closer to his floor when they get their hands on him than a player who's closer to his ceiling. And so, this is a guy that Dan Quinn has been very excited to coach and develop. And so Adam Dirt as well, they're really putting in the extra work, the extra time before practice, after practice, in the meeting room, work on his hand usage, his hand placement, his leverage, everything that kind of goes into being a dominant pass rusher in this league. Is it going to happen as a rookie? Probably not. I think we should all be realistic and appreciate a player's developmental journey. But I think just by nature of his speed, if you're to get him on the field in some more obvious pass rush situations, he can just naturally be disruptive. And so we'll see over the course of training camp. And the Cowboys aren't going to want to show too much in terms of their actual plan during the preseason. As part of the beauty of having joint practices is they can just, in a controlled environment, give guys, the higher value guys a lot of reps then, and then kind of dial back during the preseason when the injury rate statistically is higher. We'll see the exact plan over the course of time, but my imagination would point to a real pass situation usage for Sam Williams to start, and then over the course of the year, as he gets his feet under him a little bit, and kind of prove to the coaching staff perhaps more can be put on his plate.
All right,
no doubt.
Mr. Gehlken, our last question is obviously dealing with training camp. Everybody's excited about training camp. And on your Twitter, you said Cowboys are in a countdown mode. 1 week from today, they travel to Oxnard, California for training camp. So just what's your general thoughts as you preparing to go covering for the Dallas Morning News and preparing us for training camp. What's your thoughts in general?
It's funny because there's always my thoughts, frankly, are always like when the schedule comes out, in April, and now it's May. I already know, we all know who the Cowboys are playing. We know their opponents. We learn that once the season ends. And so my thoughts are always, okay, well, am I going to be home for Christmas? Am I going to be home for, different things? When's the bye week? Talk to my wife about where we could go for that or how we want to spend it. And so right now, my thoughts before training camp is like, all right, I got to take care of my dog. I got to help out my wife with certain things around the house before I leave and like all of that. And so that's my most honest answer to that question is how little actually has to do with the team, because I know that I know the team. Even though there's been no practice for by the time they get to Oxnard 6 weeks, you still can't help but think about different aspects of the roster, different competitions. How's Michael Gallup's rehab progressing, or taking a better look at the salary cap and where the team stands in certain contracts. Could there be certain players who they extend before then? You can't help but think about it a little bit, but ultimately nothing's really going to change from mid-June to when they step on the field on 27th for the first time in practice. There just isn't a whole lot of developments, which is a good thing, because you don't want developments during this quiet period. It's supposed to stay quiet. So I think I'm just kind of mentally, getting away a little bit as much as I can, take care of the things at home as best as I can, so that when training camp comes and the action really starts, I'm recharged and ready to document it for people. I really enjoy that part of it. So I just want to be at my best, so that you guys and I, we can talk, and then on Twitter I can interact with people. Usually I direct message them. I don't like to clog up people's timelines, but just having a conversation and be able to be something of a resource for Cowboys fans, I take that seriously, and I want to do the best I can at it.
Well, thank you so much for obviously visiting us. We have pretty good reach out the Cowboys community, and obviously the reach is going to go farther with you. So thank you. Hopefully we kept it brief enough, but you really did help the Cowboys community with your insight, and we look forward to your knowledge and your tweets that's going to be coming out of training camp. Now, I know you got some cool stuff coming up. Do you want to talk about it, or we want to kind of keep that low on some of the cool things?
We don't have a name for it yet. We are going to have a podcast, Dallas Morning News. We're in discussions with it. We'll see the timing of it. I'm optimistic that it gets done. But I know Calvin Watkins and I were excited about having some sort of a podcast this season. But I couldn't tell you any specifics just yet, because I don't know them. But if you got a good idea for a Cowboys podcast name, let me know, because I've been racking my brain and I'm still trying.
All right, y'all heard the challenge.
We'll work with it over here then.
Y'all heard the challenge. Y'all think of some names. They really trying to put this thing together. So y'all throw some names out there, and then we'll relay it back to Michael. But thank you, Michael, for coming up to the final word.
No doubt. And I'll be out there at Oxnard, man. I'll be out there, so I'll bump into you out there, Way.
Definitely. Let me know when you're in.
All right, we'll do.
All right, Michael.
Appreciate you.
All right, that was Michael Gehlken with the Dallas Morning News. He obviously came and did what I knew he was going to do. He was going to give us that fire. Come on now, where the yoga flames at?
Yoga.
Where the yoga flames at?
Fire. Yoga flame.
Man, that was cool. All right, yeah. So, what's y'all thoughts in general, man? And then we got some more content we can talk about real quick. I got some good stuff laid up for y'all.
Oh man, it was great. Over here, I thought that he answered everything correctly, and he was pretty good. We was vibing with him.
Yeah. What's your thoughts, Big?
Oh, I mean, like I said, I've always liked how he brought it. He's always got good information. I like how like I said, he gives his opinion. I really appreciate how he jumped out there and did the Dalton Schultz video. I really appreciate that because a lot of guys that are in that write or kind of in the media in his place, they don't do that. They don't do film study. They don't drop film. They just give their opinion and they write it, and then that's that. he actually gives his opinion. And if you look at his Twitter, he's always showing video to back up what he is saying. And I think
exactly.
I think that's the thing I really respect about him, is that he just doesn't talk about it. He puts in work video wise to really validate what he's trying to say to you. And I really respect that about him.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I got from it too. That's the thing that I got from it, was the fact that he was willing to step out on a limb. Because I was talking to Coach Marv, and he say, boss, he say, you and the final word guys, because y'all don't follow the crowd, it makes y'all appear that y'all on a limb. But sometimes the truth is on the limb. It's not what the crowd is saying. And that's the thing that I respected the most out of, obviously the interview with Michael Gehlken, is that he was willing to show him blocking and not just make a tweet about it. He was like, I'm gonna go do the work to make my case, and I respect that. What's your thoughts, Law?
Yeah, and you can tell that he's authentic with it when he said 4 hours of film. It do. So when people look at what we do as far as a film assessment and putting the bubbles and the blocks over it, it takes time. Yeah. And you actually evaluating what they're doing with hand placement, what they're doing with down and out distance. It's a lot that goes into it. But from the outside looking in, a lot of people will just say, man, anybody can do that. But no, that it's a lot of time. And when you're trading information for time, it's not easy. And especially putting his, I ain't gonna say nuts out there, but putting it all out on a limb, like you said, in the dark, to bring everybody to the light, that's difficult.
Right, it is. Oh, Coach Marv, I just saw your super chat. Let me throw this super chat in here real quick. Yeah, he just said, make sure y'all read this super chat. Let me go to it. All right, give me a second. Because, matter of fact, because he was talking about tight ends. So we go keep this narrative on tight end real quick before I go to your super chat. Let's go to Big Game James, because you said something on your Twitter, Big. I want to show this real quick. And this go keep us on the theme of tight end, bro. So you say, I would say this about the Cowboys, about drafting the traditional Jason Witten-ish tight end. They wanted Jelani Woods, and I believe we're going to take him in the 3rd round had the Colts not got him. So at least they thought outside the box at the position and took the best possible one. So I'm going to merge that with Coach Marv's super chat, because I think they go together. He said, looking at our drafted tight end, who you talking about, do he see a big difference? Oh, so that was to Gehlken. So we gonna have to answer this. Do he see a big difference in the new tight end and Schultz? So we go tag team this together. I'm sorry, I saw it late, Coach Marv, but go ahead, Big.
Yeah, I mean, I had just been thinking about it, because you know how we've been talking about the tight end position and how they always seem to get the same type tight end. It's always the Witten-ish type guy, the 6'5", the 250, 260, not the super fast guy, but can just do the wiggle and get open. It looked like that was the basis of what they did. When I looked at Blake Jarwin, I said, maybe they're skewing away from it, because Blake Jarwin was a different type of tight end, in my opinion. He could stretch the field. He could hit that seam, and we saw he could get loose in that open field. So they were really trying to open that door with Blake Jarwin, but unfortunately he got hurt. And then when we look at the draft, how they had it, they were really high on Woods. They brought him in for a visit, and the 30 visit. They had went out to a pro day, had him at a pro day. And I believe, like I said, if the Colts did not take him, I believe they really were targeting him and trying to get him in that 3rd round. So I can say that they weren't always thinking that way, and they were trying to move away and probably help out, and saw that, guess what, we need some speed at the position. We already have a tight end, Dalton Schultz, who is a guy who is a more possession type tight end, who can hit us underneath and get the small routes, as Boss says, can get the 5 and done. We need another guy who we just lost in Blake Jarwin, who's explosive. Yeah. So let's go after Woods and get that explosive, fast guy and merge him with this blocking, not a blocker, but a guy that can really use his hands and get you underneath, and that would be a perfect balance. So I can definitely say they were thinking out the box and not trying to add it. And just on the Jake Ferguson thing, Yes, I think he is kind of like the Dalton Schultz, but what we will say is this, that they had an opportunity when they lost out on Woods to still get the best tight end available, and I think that's what Jake Ferguson was. So instead of them losing out altogether, they got somebody who can at least they can possibly replace a Dalton Schultz if they can't sign him later on and still come back in the draft next year and get the speed tight end.
Well, when you look at everything you just said, Big Game James and also Boss Cowboy, the philosophy of the type and kind of caliber of tight ends that we have on this team goes all the way back to the philosophy of this offense collectively, meaning that this offense haven't changed since 2007. If you really contextualize everything, Kellen Moore is the offspring or the love child, dare I say, of Scott Linehan and Jason Garrett. So when you look at everything, there's really nothing different that what Kellen Moore do than those guys. Now, he does a little bit more motions. Of course, he pull other plays. He's a collector of plays, but the core of everything is still the same philosophy. So that's why you see this team going after the same type of tight ends. And I think that Jake Ferguson, he will be a guy that will relish in this system. I wanted to ask Gehlken before he left too, is Sean McEwen. Is he the guy to be called the number 2 tight end now?
Well,
right? Because
to be honest,
that's the situation.
I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna say it like this, Law. We need to be asking you, because you getting ready. Yeah, I'm dead serious too, bro. See, because you gonna be out there at Oxnard. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
I'm gonna be coming to you, big dog. Like, I can ask Gehlken, and I got his number now, and I can say, "Hey, Gehlken, what you think?" No, I'm asking Law Nation. Yeah, when you come out there, that's exactly what we gonna be looking for. And Coach Marv, he was being messy. He said, "If there's no difference, that's why there's no contract for Schultz." Well, listen, I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna be all the way honest. I have not broken down the blocking of Schultz versus Ferguson. I haven't. So if I spoke on it, I would be winging it, and I ain't gonna do y'all like that. You know what I'm saying?
Don't do
now,
it like that, man.
I think Big Game James actually did more research on the blocking between the two than me. So to be honest, I think he could probably shine more light on those differences, but I just not have broken that down yet fully. Now, I looked at Ferguson and I was impressed with Ferguson. Not saying that he's perfect, because he's not.
Right.
He missed some blocks, but I like the foundation of what I saw. So, but I'm not willing to step on a limb yet and say they just as good. Not quite yet. I want to really do my homework on that. What's your thoughts, Big?
Yeah, I mean, I did look at the 2 tight ends. I did tape on both of them. I will tend to agree with Michael Gehlken's assessment that see, I'm going to be honest. I think it was Marcus Marshall out there that was pumping, and I ain't trying to hate on you, Marshall. If you listen to this, please don't jump out there and say I am. But he was talking, if you look at a lot of Twitter, he was pushing that Blake Jarwin is a good blocker. It's true. He was saying it. Then all of a sudden you listen to, because people don't study. They hear one person say something, and all of a sudden they just latch onto it.
It is.
Everybody, I mean, first people were being real critical of Blake Jarwin and his blocking, right? All of a sudden that came in the air that he's a better blocker, and then people start saying Jarwin can block and Schultz can't block. That's what started happening in the air. Then people just started running with it and just saying, oh, Schultz can't block because 17 people said it. Now I'm just going to agree with it because that's what the whole crowd is saying.
Say it,
so
bro.
I believe that's why Gehlken came back and said everything isn't black and white and don't listen to what everybody is saying. Let me show you some tape and say, guess what? He's not as bad as a blocker as y'all keep talking about. Does he need work? Yes, he does. But if you're looking at the difference between these 2 players, it was the truth. Blake Jarwin was not the good blocker, and Dalton Schultz was better. And if we look at the beginning part of the season when they went against the Chargers and things of that nature, Dalton Schultz was blocking very well in that game, especially in that Chargers game. Both of the running backs was getting loose, and Dalton Schultz was really Remember, we was excited about the 12 personnel, remember? And just another thing, falling off of that, boss, I'm not making no excuses for Kellen Moore, okay? But let's not forget that he was running that heavy 12 personnel when Blake Jarwin was not hurt. And that 12 personnel was killing teams. That 12 personnel was running great with the Cowboys. That offense was humming with the 2 tight ends. It started falling apart when Blake Jarwin got hurt. So like I said, I'm not making no excuses, but when Blake Jarwin got hurt, that offense changed. And then when Michael Gallup came back, it changed up a little bit, but it was working very well with that 12 personnel. So I'm just saying, let's not all crucify Kellen Moore, because not everybody was saying he's just garbage before, until a few people said something, then everybody latches on to it. So I'm just saying, let's keep the context, and let's look at the tape before everybody jumps on and listens to one person.
Yeah. Sins of the father falls down to the son. It goes all the way down to this right here. Jason Garrett. When everything is put into place, he can coach the hell out of a game.
Yoga fire.
He's missing
Yoga flame.
He's missing his quarterback, or if he's missing one of the offensive linemen, he just can't really dial up the adjustments. Now, when you start talking about Kellen Moore in that light, you see some similarities. Like when Blake Jarwin went down, just like what Big Game James said, we started to figure out, hey, this dude is struggling picking up the pieces. Now, granted, I was reading some comments there earlier when I said the young phenom. I really, truly believe that Kellen Moore is brilliant and bright. But it's difference between knowing something and being experienced with something. And it goes a long way, and I don't want to use this analogy, but there are some things that you have to learn on your own, and that is the philosophy that Mike McCarthy is giving to Kellen Moore, because you already was given this titleship. You're going to have to figure this out on your own. And fellas, you know what I'm talking about when you with your lady. There are some things that you can't reach out to your father and say, hey, Dad, can you teach me how to do this? No, you got to learn on your own. And that's what Kellen Moore did.
Say, man, y'all got law.
I'm trying to keep it PG.
Man, you doing good. You doing good, bro. You doing good. I felt you, though.
Yeah, so I know you didn't reach out to your dad. Did you reach out to your dad?
Nah, I learned on my own.
What about you, Big
Right,
Man
but don't
James?
you? Okay, but I listen. But
because if your dad teaches you that,
Gehlken, though,
go ahead.
But I listen to Gehlken, and I think that's where McCarthy. I think this is where the season where McCarthy has to step up in that aspect on both that front, and so does Kellen Moore. But if we're saying Kellen Moore steps his game up in that aspect of, if a defense shuts you down in one aspect, he comes with different wrinkles, then we're not really mad at Kellen Moore, because if you look at the 3 years that Kellen Moore has been the OC, 2 out of the 3 years it's led the NFL in offense in yards. It's been a top offense, and it was leading the top in 2020 until Dak Prescott hurt. So it could have even been 3 straight years with this offensive coordinator has led the league in yards produced, and it wasn't like they were bottom 15 or bottom 17, 18, 19, or 20. This was an offense, and you got to have this. That's when Mike McCarthy has to step up real. For me, in this year, this is where Mike McCarthy really has to put his foot down, and really, if he's really trying to save his job, and if he's really trying to take this, then if he sees Kellen Moore struggling, he needs to step in there and be the hands-on coach that he was talking about with the John Grudens of the world. He needs to be better in that aspect, and not just watch it from afar and let it train wreck and just go, oh, well, he's messing up. No, you got to step in there and say, I can't let this fall, and I got to be a better coach.
But Big Game James, to that point and to that degree, you got to look at it like this too. Yes, he respectfully was the #1 ranked offense when everything is going well, right? But when you look at that same ratings, he was ranked 23rd and 24th in red zone efficiency. And he's gonna.
That fluctuated though, Law. That fluctuated because at the beginning of the year, we were talking about he had those problems. But if you looked at the course of the first 10 games of the season, they were like they were over 50%. They were like close to 60, and those numbers were going good. Once again, when they had the injuries, and I totally agree with you how he didn't make the adjustments when he had the injuries. But we can't sit there and say that he did have. They were scoring in the red zone in the very beginning of the season, like the first 8 games.
Well, let me ask you this though. I'm gonna switch it up. I'm gonna switch it up on you a little bit.
Let's get this fight going.
Okay. And I know you are very diverse in your acumen of sports in general. You witnessed MJ when he was drafted, right? What year what year was he drafted?
84.
84. Did he win it in 84? Did he win it in 85?
No, he didn't win it.
Did he win it in 86? Did he win it in 87? Did he win it in 88?
Won in 88.
Did he win it in 89? It took experience. It took time.
Yeah, it took a while. Yeah,
it took time. The Bulls was being built in the 80s. They dominated in the earlier parts of the 90s. So what I'm trying to say is, I'm not saying that Kellen Moore is at the levels of MJ, but we can see some brilliancy in there. But you can't skip the growing pains, baby, and that is the problem. We want it now.
Facts. That's exactly what I was getting ready to say, boy. I was queued up to fight you, Law. Look.
I know, man.
I had the buttons ready, bro. I was finna start punching you right in your grill until you said that last point. We are not waiting on Kellen Moore, bro.
we waited. Let them wait.
No, we ain't waiting. No, but listen, because you right.
Oh, I'm not saying wait though, boss. I'm not.
No,
saying
I know you're not saying wait.
You feel me?
You giving him credit. You giving him credit for what he's doing and where he's already good. Yeah.
What I'm saying is, yes, you have to make it happen now because the exposure has happened. So there can't be another thing of like that happening when that has been exposed about you. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I'm just saying from this point, he hasn't been trash like everybody's like, oh, he's just trash. I can't. I'm sorry. Y'all, other people can feel that. I'm not going to agree that he's a trash offensive coordinator. Does he has the Jason Garrett? That's where he came from. I mean, the Sky Lennon, that's where he came from. That's the only thing he knows. So, I mean, I don't make no excuse for that. You have to get better because you've been exposed. But I'm saying from coming in as the offensive coordinator, he hasn't been garbage. If he gets better at that aspect of being able to make those adjustments, can we say, will we be happier with that? And we feel like he's going over the hump because that was his major hurdle, right?
Yeah. I think I got the balance, Big. I think I got it, bro. Because if anybody calling Kellen Moore trash, you tripping. You are tripping, right? Because he's not trash. But I think the thing with Kellen Moore is he need an adjustment. You know what I'm saying? And I think his adjustment is actually a simple adjustment. I think he need to know when to scheme for your playmakers and when to go to that system philosophy. I think he got one gear, which is that system philosophy, which works because it's that same philosophy. That's number one. It's just anemic in big games. When them games get hard and tough, you need to lean on those guys you paid for. It's a simple adjustment with him. And then that genius and that wisdom to me will match that production to put us over the hump. What you think of that, Big?
The players got to do it too. Just like I'm not bouncing off Michael Gehlken, but the players. We talking about Kellen Moore can make this. I'm doing this play, but the players got to execute. The line got to block. If I call this play, you got to be able to hold off this daggone defensive end for more than 1 second. You get what I'm saying? And give Dak Prescott some time. So it goes all hand in hand. You got to get better at that aspect. You got to have that balance. But guess what? The Dak Prescotts, the CD Lambs, those the Tyron Smiths, the Tyler Biadishes, y'all have to play at a high level all the time. Because
Yeah.
if you're not doing that, and I said that, Boss and Law, that this team, since it doesn't go out and get free agents, right, and it relies
Right.
on rookies, our players, the Dak Prescotts and those guys of the world, have to play like the 5-star players because we
Facts.
don't have anybody else on the outside that they're trying to bring in. So those guys have to bring it every single time or Dallas will fail.
Well, that was going to be my other question too that I was going to bring up to Gehlken, and I could bring it up to you too.
Okay.
You got sources and you got resources. Resources pull from the source. And the Cowboys right now got nothing to pull from, especially as it relates to the wide receivers. Don't you guys know that the veteran wide receiver with the most experience, his name is Noah Brown. He got the most experience on this team. So CeeDee Lamb, he's facing the unknown. He's going up against number 1 DBs now. His first time in his career. I'm talking about on a consistent level, right? You got of course, James Washington. We wish and we hope and we want him to succeed, but his highest catch total ever in the season was 44 catches. And you got Jalen Tolbert. Of course, he looked good at South Alabama, but we have yet to see him in a Cowboys uniform do it on a consistent level. And he was a 3rd-round draft pick, Simi Fehoko. He's still trying to fight for a spot on his roster. So we are entering in, and I'm not saying that this team can't do it. I'm not going to put down the Koolaid, Big Game James and Boss, but these are the realities of it. This Cowboys team will not have the source that they can pull from. They can't lean on Kellen Moore because what he's going to pull from, the old manual that Jason Garrett and his daddy Scott Linehan left, he got nothing to pull off from. So he got to create his own sources that he can pull from as far as information and experience. And this is what we're going through because as we look at it, Big Mike McCarthy, he's got his arm folded with the menu in his hand. And he said, I can't intervene right now. I can't. I got to let this kid figure out his own way. So we are in that pickle of waiting for this thing to manifest itself into something. That's just what it is.
Yeah.
I hope I don't sound negative, but that's just what it is.
I mean, I'm gonna be honest. If you sound negative, nobody should care because you giving your honest analysis. You know what I mean? And a lot of our fans need to get over stuff sounding negative. Like, listen, if they don't know by now that we just trying to give our best commentary to make this team win, then there ain't nothing we can do. I'm sorry. It just ain't nothing we can do. If you don't know the spirit of Big Game James, Law Nation, the OC, Boss Cowboy by now, you'll never know us. You know? So, now, if you sound negative, so what? Hey, real quick, I want to make a pivot, a positive pivot. Y'all gonna like this one. Well, I like it. Check this out. So obviously Vach, put this out, from Big Duke training with Tyler Smith, and you were talking about Vach, that everybody need to make an offer for Big Duke, but that's because of the technique that he watching, right? So listen, everybody, listen to me, not you, Law, but I'm talking about everybody else. Listen, this is the deal. I get why offensive linemen that really know the position are excited in that drill that they was showing. And this is what's gonna paint the picture. Y'all listen to the OC talk, and then we go back to that drill when he was talking about Tyler Smith. Y'all listen to this.
Going back and again, stepping down, positioning, cutting off his guy, hitting another guy. So, yeah, just extremely physical at the point. I think that initially he probably does play guard. Initially, he may play guard. So, all right, so look at this here. If you look at him, I like his pad level in the run game. And he a good. I mean, there he gives us some inside leverage. It was no consequence because it was a dead play. But let's move on to the next one.
Okay.
All right. So left tackle, and the thing.
Now this part is when the OC go show his sauce. Listen to
that
this.
You see is that when he gets his hands on people, he is a guy that's trying to finish you. He is knocking you, and that was a fumble, but he's trying to knock his guy on the ground. He's trying to punish you and basically just knock you all around the football field. And so that's the constant theme consistently that you will see with him. Again, the reason for the holding penalties.
Now watch the OC. Listen. Then we go back to why the offensive line people were so excited at that clip. Listen.
Is really, and I'm going to say something a lot of people haven't pointed out. Now, his hands are inside there. Listen. He does a good job. It's still on the edge. I think some of this is his coach's fault, Boss Cowboy. Because there's no way a guy that's big and that talented that you're not telling him to draw his elbows down, right? All he has to do, that was a great play. All he has to do is draw his and knock the guy down on the ground. All he has to do, Boss Cowboy, is tuck his elbows down and inside.
So hold on. So then when you go back and you go look at this drill and look at Tyler and where his hands are, his elbows are, and you see why all the offensive linemen heads was drooling. Am I tripping? Yeah. Or am I hearing and seeing this right, big dog? I want to turn this back over to y'all.
I was born in it.
Let me say this right quick, man. Let me say this, everybody. At the time, the OC was getting crucified and people were shanking him left and right when he was doing that assessment.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people didn't like Tyler Smith at all.
Facts.
Right?
Hold on, Lord. Let me give you a flame.
Murdered.
Yoga fire.
And a button.
Yoga flame.
I'm sorry, bro. You're going too hard right now. I have to put y'all.
Nothing but the best. Let's go.
All right, go ahead, Lord.
The darkness is your ally.
That joker was down in the dark. He was in the dark. He was in the triple dark.
He was
going over his film. He was the first one giving the analysis and the reason why the Cowboys went and made that move. Facts. It was an unpopular opinion, or his analysis was unpopular. But now, lo and behold, this kid is working. And I want to say this to all of the Cowboys fans out there. Dog it, y'all complain left and right about these players working. I get tons. I post CD Lamb. Ooh, he's sorry, Lord, what he's doing. Experts, receivers don't put out work clips. You terrible, Lord.
I got you, Lord.
I put out Dak Prescott. He's working. But you want him to play rounds of golf, right? You got Terrence Steele. He's out there working. We got guys, even KJ, Kelvin Joseph, got training camps with the youth. He's trying to get a good image out there. Our guys this season is putting in work. And I'm not even talking about Parsons at this time. Parsons putting in work. So I love this from our Cowboys players for the first time in a long time. These boys, all of them, are on the same page of working individually and improving and working on their craft. And a lot of people are crying about it. But go ahead, Big Game James. I had to put that out there.
I mean, you know, as far as the Tyler Smith thing, first of all, I mean, he looks in shape. That's the thing. The first thing I saw that impressed me was that, you know, he is in shape. He is athletic, but, you know, I really feel like, and I said this a little while back, that, you know, and I talked with, you know, Kyle Humans, and I was saying that I felt like a while back when we had this talk that he was going to eventually move to that left tackle, because look at his feet. Mm-hmm. I mean, if you're playing left tackle, you got to be able to have good feet too, okay? And he's got the prerequisite arm length. His feet are good. You heard what OC said about the arms, but just like you said, Law, and even Boss, this kid works, and he's from Dallas, man. I keep saying that means something. Oh, you are playing from your city, especially this right here. This means everything to him, and you don't think he hasn't heard the noise about, man, that was a bad pick. They should have did this. They should have did that. So he has the motivation going on to prove everybody wrong, to say, no, I am from this place. I'm about to show y'all this was a great pick, and I'm going to take this personal. So I love it now. I mean, I didn't hate on it before. I was just like, he's from Tulsa, let's see. But once I seen him getting out there doing this work like this, I really believe it. He's not only been doing this work, fellas, he's been in the classroom. He's been at these little clinics where they have the offensive lineman clinics where they sit there and talk with other offensive linemen as well. You got to love that about a young man. And I think the arrow is pointing up really high for him, and I think he has a very high ceiling.
Facts,
Oh my
bro.
gosh, man.
And see,
Yeah,
let me go
indeed.
back and see if the OC still has some more to say, because I might have cut him off a little bit too early. Because listen, this is one thing Law always said. He said, I ain't gonna lie to kick it. I ain't neither. And one thing I would be doing if I was lying to kick it is trying to act like I really fully understand the nuance of offensive line. I don't.
Right.
But I feel like I'm a pretty good listener, and I have good eyes. So one of the things, I went back and I looked at that drill and I looked at his tape, and the OC was right. He was getting his hands a lot outside.
Outside, yeah.
See why? And that's why he was getting a lot of those. Let me just go back and listen real quick.
And I just think that whoever was coaching him, no offense, I hope I don't offend anybody, but they did a disservice at not really drilling him and putting him in the repetition situation during practice, right, to where he got that aspect of his game down. Because that would eliminate the holding penalties. That would eliminate a lot of people getting in his chest, even on the passing game. That would eliminate a lot of the negatives that you see on this game. The second thing that I believe he got a tremendous disservice done to him in terms of how he was coached.
I ain't going to that because he talking about something else. The main thing I was talking about was how he was talking to, just keeping it real, bro, because he started talking about sets and all that, which that wasn't
lost us.
Yeah. I'm like, hey, we ain't gonna get into that right now, big dog.
Yeah.
But when he was talking about specifically drilling into Tyler Smith, keeping his hands low, elbows down and inside, and then we turn it on and we see Big Duke doing exactly what the OC was talking about. The only thing I can say is
Yoga fire. Yoga flame.
Woo, man, that's exciting, bro. That's exciting. Yeah. So that goes to everybody who might, in my opinion, be concerned about him playing left guard and concerned about our running game. The more and more I'm watching these guys in the offseason, I'm gonna be honest. I ain't saying I'm gulping and drunk on Koolaid, but I'm feeling better.
It's the unknown still, but we gonna get.
Well, I want to ask you both a question right now. This is from my dog Mel Hayes. He asked me, and I want to ask you too. This is the question, and he says, "Do you think that Tyler Smith, if he stays at the left guard position this year, will he be better than Connor Williams was this past season?"
Yes.
And why? Minus the holding.
Okay, yeah. The reason why is because he's already, to me, a natural run blocker, right?
Right.
And I think the plan and the development plan is smart because they already knew that he was young and need work. So before they just throw him at tackle, I think they taking him through the Lyle Collins development plan, where we're going to get you acclimated to the NFL at left guard and let you do what you do best, run block, because he was graded the best all time in ACC in run blocking. You're not putting him on the island. You know what I'm saying? And it's going to fit him. You know what I mean? It's going to fit his skill set. And I think he's just naturally stronger than Connor Williams, which should make him more, and this is just in my opinion, a fish in water than what Connor Williams was. That's why I think he's going to be better than what Connor Williams was. That's my honest answer.
I just don't
think,
you, Law? Big Game James, I just don't think that he would get beat the way Connor Williams got beat with power. And I just think that will set the tone. And one thing that we have to do is set the tone, trench warfare. So I just feel like in my opinion at this point, that he would have a better outcome than Connor. And I think that would be a plus for us because Dak Prescott, if you give Dak Prescott the opportunity to read it, he will carve you up. And that's one thing that you can really put your money on with Dak. And I think that we would have a better situation if this offensive line can stay healthy and we keep the front five. My starting five will be Tyler, Zach Martin, and then Terrence Steele. That's my starting 5. And if we can keep that for 17 weeks or what have you, man, we going to the playoffs, no doubt, and we going deep.
I want to add one more thing.
We'll see.
Nah, come on, Big KJ. Come on, man. I got some
I ain't
cool.
listening to that, dog. Don't start that.
You see this?
Don't start that.
You
know I'm not going for that.
You see this right
I'm not
here?
going for that.
I'm gonna fill this. I'm gonna fill this bottle up
Go
with
ahead and fill
Koolaid.
it. You
I'm
feel
gonna
it.
fill it up
I'm
with
not
Koolaid.
drinking none
And
of
when
that.
I see you, bro, when I see you,
You can see it all you want.
This is Big Game James Kool-Aid bottle. I'm gonna fill it up with Kool-Aid,
fine.
bro. And you
You
gonna
will not
sip
hear it.
man,
It's
when
my
we get
dog.
to the
Not hear
playoff.
it. I know.
I'm gonna
You
make
will not
sure
hear it at
you
all.
down it,
You
baby.
will
I'm
not
gonna put
hear
some
it at all
Everclear in
this
man.
year. No, you won't. I promise you. You won't hear nothing this year until I see them get to the playoffs, and then I'll start looking. But I'm not looking at none of that jump off that win 5, 6, 7 games. I'm not believing none of that. I'm not drinking none of that Kool-Aid. None of it. Period.
I wanted to add though one more thing.
If we go 4-1, 5-1, would you drink it then? What will get you to the
I've seen
cup?
this
What will
before.
get you to
I've
this
seen
bottle?
this. Okay, first of all, Law, have we seen this in 2016?
5-0?
Hold up. Law. 2016, how many games they win in a row?
8, 9, 2016. How
Right.
you got, man?
They won 6 in a row.
2018, how many games did we win in a row when we got Amari Cooper?
7.
7, yeah.
What happened last year? How many games did we win in a row?
6.
Thank
This
you.
dude- this
That's
dude-
why I'm not drinking the Kool-Aid.
I ain't mad at it.
So 8 is your number. 8 is your number.
Nah.
No.
I'm
I don't
with
care
you.
if it's
The
10.
regular
I don't care if it's
season is
16.
not the standard
I don't
no
care
more.
about the regular season no more.
Right. The
No.
regular
It's
season
playoffs.
is not the
Okay, I
standard no
feel
more.
you.
I'm with you, Big. I'm with
So
you.
after we win our first playoff game, you gonna open
I
wide
don't
for
care.
this, right?
We won one. No, we won one playoff game before. We need to advance. We need at least
After
two.
two,
before I
after
even
the
say.
second,
Two.
so after
He
the
need
second
two.
playoff
I think that's
win,
fair.
You gonna
That's
drink
fair.
this, right?
Nope,
That's
I need
fair.
two.
After the second playoff win, you gonna at least drink this.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm not going to be going crazy either. But I'll be like, okay,
You
see
go
me
drink.
say, okay,
That's
You
a
gonna
fair
drink.
play.
Okay, so
drink.
bet. You know, so bet. After we win 2 playoff games,
2 playoffs.
I'm gonna get a T-shirt and everything. Big Game James sipping the Kool-Aid.
okay, that's fine. And
And I
it's
ain't
going to be
put no
sipping.
pressure on you.
It won't be big cups either. Even after the 2.
Good Lord.
I ain't falling for that no more, man.
Man, I
ain't
feel
falling
you.
for it no more.
Say, I feel you, man. I ain't putting no pressure on my dog to sip.
I'm
You ain't
trying
got to
to put it
sip
on there.
nothing. Because you right, man. We've been through this before, and it do got to come all together.
Finish him.
I feel you.
So-
Now,
so-
we
so-
gonna
so
enjoy
what
the
Big Game
season,
James
though.
is saying-
We gonna enjoy the season, but
Yeah.
go ahead, Law.
What Big
Go ahead,
Game
Law. Go
James
ahead,
is
Law.
saying is that it's really his fault. The moment he start feeling good, we lose. So
Ah!
Big Game James' fault. You know, that's what it is. That's what it is.
Okay,
You the
that's how it
curse.
is.
Big Game
Okay.
James the curse.
Okay, I'll take it. I'll be the curse. But guess what? See, this is how. But you know what, Law? This is how I'll be the curse. I'm gonna be super extra negative. So maybe that'll just make us win.
Do it.
Negative. I'm gonna be the negative Cowboy guy this
Do
year.
it.
So every time they
gonna
say
see if
something,
you gonna
I'm gonna say
hold up
something.
to it.
I'm
Yeah.
like, man,
See
they
if you gonna hold up to
terrible.
it.
See, yeah, okay, I am gonna.
I
trust
love
you.
it.
I guarantee you.
Yoga
I'm gonna
fire.
say that.
Yoga
I'm gonna
we
be
beat
negative,
Buccaneers
negative,
51
and
to
let it
0.
go the other
I
way.
hope it's 51 to
Please.
0.
Yes,
I
love it.
Yes, it's got to go
Stay that way,
because
dog.
I ain't being positive no more. I'm gonna
Thank
be
you.
negative, and maybe they be
Yeah.
positive if I'm so negative. You
I
got it. So
got
you
it.
come to my page, you hear nothing but negative. You got it.
Okay,
Negative.
okay.
Negative. Hey, I love being a Cowboy.
Big Game James.
Game changer.
Oh, man. Boy,
Let's have
that's
some
real.
fun. Let's have a good
That's why
time,
he's
man.
my dog, though. That's why he's
I
my
wish you
dog.
could show him that clip. I wish
Which
you could
one?
show them clip of them girls twerking. And the dog just
Because it was so true.
Where's that?
It
Where's
was so
that?
true.
Is it on your
Find
channel,
that,
Big?
'cause that
I will
was so
pull it
true.
up. Is it on your channel or is it on
I think I
mine?
shared it. It might be on yours. I don't know. Share
Yeah,
that
let
because
me-
it was the truth.
Hold
on,
Ain't
let me
nobody-
see if I
ain't
can
nobody
find
on
this,
that.
bro, 'cause it is the
The
truth.
dog had the best look.
Because it's
Big
facts. It's
AJ.
facts.
The
I'm
spirit of
scrolling
Big
hard. I'm
AJ.
trying to find it, Big. I'm going to find it. Y'all stall for me.
I
Y'all
ain't
stall
falling for
for
no
me.
more, dog. I ain't falling for it no more, dog. Law, I ain't falling for it. You can say what you want. You be that guy. That is your job. My job is
gonna be
not
my
going to be
job.
that. My job is going to say, when you say something, I'm going to be like, hell to the no.
I hope we
see
beat
it.
them 51-0.
I hope they beat
I'm looking at Big
Who
AJ
you
like
talking
this.
about Tampa Bay? You talking about Tampa Bay? Because I'm already saying we 0-2.
God, I don't see it.
God, dog.
Yeah, I already
Man,
said we
somebody
starting out
find
0-2.
that link for me,
If
man.
you want to start the negativity already, I already said we starting out 0-2. I already said we're going to be 4-4 by the break. So if we want to be saying I'm being negative, yeah, I said it. I said we was going to be 4-4 headed into the bye, going into Green Bay.
I can't find it.
Oh, my God.
I can't find it, dog.
That's right. I said we was going to be 0-2.
I forgot who shared that link, man.
trying to find
But
that
I also
link
said we
because
go
it's
on a
so
win
perfect.
streak. I said we end up 12-5 because we go on a win streak. We win like 6 or 7 games in a row like the Cowboys always do. But I still ain't drinking that Koolaid till we get in them playoffs, and they better win them games.
If we, hey dog, if we get all the way to the playoff like that and you being negative like that, I'm like, boy, you better not root for this team.
Nah, I'm gonna be with it, bro.
I'm gonna be allowed to root.
I'm gonna be
definitely
with
be
him.
allowed
No,
to
no,
root.
no, no,
I've
no,
been
we
in
want
this
you to
over
think
40-some
that-
years. I'm definitely allowed to be able to root.
See, this is the deal, though. I feel big because
I feel him, man.
it's one of those things to where I think we do got to make the Dallas Cowboys earn our loyalty,
Yeah.
and that's what he doing.
Yeah.
It's like we be
That's what he
giving them
doing.
loyalty, and then it's almost like it's taken for granted. I feel him on that, man. Where, it's like I'm going to enjoy the season because I already see we set up to probably have a 12-5 season again. I'm going to enjoy that. But at the same time, it's not about making the playoffs. See, Philly think like that. That's Philly standards. We're good at making the playoffs. Look how many times we make the playoffs. That's low standards. I call that little meat energy. You know what I'm saying? Nah, you happy to hit. You just happy to hit. You know what I'm saying? Well, did you rock that thing? Did you leave her stuttering? You understand? Or was you just happy you
wow. You wild, bro.
but am I keeping it real though, big? You know what I'm saying?
So real and so true. It's so true.
You know what I'm saying? Did you leave your mark? You know what I mean?
True, sir.
Or was you? Yeah. So like all that little meat energy, that's Philly stuff. We made the playoffs, man. That's nah, bro. That's not our standard, dog. So from that, I'm with you, big. I'm all the way with you. I still can't find it. I'm doing all this stalling. I ain't found nothing.
I was
determined,
like,
though, dog.
We've been stalled. I'm like, okay.
Oh my God, you gotta
determined.
go to your mentions, man.
It's been 7
Go to your
minutes.
mentions and
My
then
mentions.
keep scrolling all the way down. Go to your mentions on Twitter and go and keep
Yeah,
scrolling
go to
all the
your
way down.
mentions.
It should be somewhere there.
Okay,
Yeah, buddy.
all right.
You go to your mentions. Oh yeah, I found it. I found it.
Found it?
Shoot it to me.
AMP. I'm gonna see if I can send it to you, man.
Yeah, send it to me, dog. Because this is.
AMP.
funny.
Oh, I found it too. This is it.
Yeah. That nigga ain't
I got it.
dog.
Thank you, Lau.
No.
Thank you, Lau. Because this is true, dog. This is
Dude,
This,
he captured it perfectly.
this-
Let me give a
I'm a-
shout out
I'm a-
to him.
hold up. This got 8 point. I hope this don't get my.
Shut-
This will get our channel
Oh,
in
that
trouble.
perfect.
Long you don't play no music,
It's
man.
just booty shaking. It ain't nothing but booty shaking.
All right, so big. I'm gonna put this picture.
They got.
I'm gonna put this picture side by side your face and see if it matches. All right, here we go. No. That's too much. I ain't gonna do that. It's too much. Yeah, too much. All right, here
It's
we
too
go.
much.
This was worth the wait, y'all. Here we go. So somebody said, Boss Cowboy Law Nation and the OC. This is how Yates be when y'all talking about that optimism for the season. It's facts. We back there having a good time, enjoying all that
them
good
Cowboys
twerking.
fans doing all look at all that twerking. All them
And look,
Cowboys
Big
fans
A.
twerking.
James.
Yeah, like, man, what
He
the-
ain't feeling none of that. Got all that good
I love
twerking.
it. They twerking it. They
He got all that.
twerking. They got 15,
Big ain't
17
feeling
twerking.
it. That's big face. Oh man, that's so facts, dog.
Oh my God,
Oh,
Big A.
when he tagged me in that, I said, perfect.
Bro, that's dog. That dog face. Let me make it bigger, dog. All that good booty in the background. All that good fun we try to have. And this my boy
Big Game James.
This my boy Big Game James right there, that dog. He just ain't feeling it. He just ain't feeling it. All that good booty in the background, dog. And that's Big Game. We try to have a good time talking about the season.
Talking about Cowboys, talking about season. Sam Williams, Micah Parsons.
CeeDee
Lamb.
Ooh, Dak and Shay. Ooh, look at this. Ooh, look. See, that's that good booty. That's Big Game James' face right there. Oh, he just ain't feeling it. Oh man, the final word. Only the final word, y'all. Only the final word, dog. This is what you can do when you independent, bro. All right, man. Final words. Me first.
Oh man.
Me first, man. I guess this is not the right one to send to Michael Gehlken. So some shows you say, "Hey, Mike, check out the show. Tell me what you think."
Just don't edit that part.
I come out to cut that part out. Cut. hey, but this is my final word, big dog. This is my final word, man. It's go time, baby. Shit. Training camp start next week. So everybody that's been sleepy, everybody that's been taking your vacations, wake up. It's time. Let's get it. Right. We also got a super show. I'm not going to announce it quite yet, but there's a potential super show setting up. And when I say super show, I'm talking about super duper show. You know what I mean? Yeah. We got to make sure everybody's schedules truly align. But there's some quarterbacking going on to where you might see a lot of us come together like never happened before. So y'all keep a lookout for that. For the final word is kind of starting to set itself in stone, but until you get to that day, you never know. But y'all keep them notifications up and them subs. Do it, because trust me, and I'm gonna just tell you, especially Sunday, because there might be something that's gonna be memorable to kick off training camp. And that's my final word, because I would be excited to see the Voltron like what's being discussed between some of these people in this space. You know, it's going to be some of the best. That's all I'm going to say. That's my final word.
Yeah, man, just bouncing off that, just get really excited about that. I think that'll be some legendary type stuff, if that goes down. So, keep on keeping that in the air. And just once again, just continue to support the final word. Like you were talking about earlier in the show when Gehlken came on, boss, how you appreciate, missing us. And I really want to bounce off that. I really, we took 3 weeks off. We all did our own things, but I really appreciate the final word and what it brings and what it means to the Cowboys community and myself. I really like how we have the different voices. We can always be ourselves. We can be, we can go at each other, but have a great time with it. And I just really love how it was built. And I really appreciate how you brought the fire with Michael Gehlken, open it up, boss. I just really appreciate you being the quarterback of this. My dog Law Nation being the voice, the rhyme and reason. And, I just like to try to grind with y'all. And I really just appreciate what y'all have done with this final word. And let's keep it making growing. That's my final word.
Yes, indeed, man. I appreciate both of you guys, man. It's been a long journey without you all, and here it goes.
Simply because you don't have evidence that something does exist does not mean that you have evidence that something doesn't exist.
And that is what we got right now going on with this team, the unknown. And hopefully this team can find ways to bond together. Dak Prescott going out to Miami land to say, hey, it was 60% bonding and 40%, I believe, working out. So the unity for each other means a lot for this team, and I can't wait to see it manifest itself. And I can't wait to get out there to Oxnard. For those who are coming out to Oxnard, let me know, and we're going to meet up. We're going to talk Cowboys, and we're going to leave it all out there, and we're going to try to share as much information. But keep in mind, This is where those guys earn their star on the side of the helmet. And the sweat equity, what they put out there on the field, will remain for the entire season. So hopefully these guys feel like or know that this will be the full opportunity and know that big game.
I had to, dog. I just had to, dog.
There are known knowns and that there are known unknowns, but there's also unknown unknowns. Things we don't know that we don't know.
Things we don't know. And Big Game James just sitting there watching as everything shake, you know, and we gonna shake it out there, or watch it shake out there. And
we gonna see. Gonna be a whole lot of shake. We'll see.
We go watch it shake. We go watch it shake, big dog.
Yeah, a whole lot of look at that. Yeah, they need some work back there though.
They need some work. They need to stay in that class. Stay in that class. Keep working.
And if you really look at that, there's some of that hype that be there that don't really be there. Cause let me call that out. Look at some of that work with that twerking. Need some of that hype that they be doing with that, because that ain't some great twerking right there.
Yeah, that's what they need to keep practicing. They need to keep practicing. Yeah, I wouldn't.
Y'all need to work. Y'all need to get better at twerking. Y'all not the greatest.
Cool. Oh man.
No, that my friend. You're right.
Oh man, that was the final word, bro. That was the final word. We back. We ain't stopping. We ain't stopping, man. This going the whole season to the Super Bowl, like Lau said. We ain't stopping no more, big dog.
I want me some glory hole.
Yes, indeed. We back.
We back, baby.
Yes, indeed. It's gonna mess around and get bigger. We need to grow this final word, man. We need to add some more to this. We'll talk about it.
Let's get it.
Let's get it, man. Throw them fires up. Let's throw the fires up.
Yoga fire. Yoga flame.
Come on now. Let's get that fire.
Sharing is caring.
Yeah, y'all make sure y'all share this, man. Like, share, do all that before y'all get out of here, man. Let's go.
Yoga fire. Yoga flame.
Yeah, man. I need to keep that video, bro. We gonna need that video for the whole season. That twerking video.
That for the whole year.
We gonna be using that the whole year, dog. I'ma say that video.
I'm gonna play the video, boss.
I got
Yoga fire. Yoga flame.
My whole goal is to get Big Game James to sip that Koolaid.
Oh, it ain't happening. It ain't happening. You wasting your time, dog. I promise you are wasting it.
No,